Hey horror fans, thanks for joining me for this review of Deep Blue Sea 3. Alright, cast and crew information down below. And I'm going to read the IMDb plot here and slaughter the name of this place here, but bear with me. Studying the effects of climate change off the coast of Mozambique, a marine biologist and her team confront 3 genetically enhanced bull sharks. Now, a new bloodbath is waiting to happen in the name of science. Will humans never learn? Probably not, but that's besides the point. So I guess the first thing I gotta say here is, in a way, give an apology to this movie. If you happened to be watching this and happened to find me on the Where the Scary Things Are podcast, I mentioned this a couple of times in the news, that this movie was coming out, and maybe took a shot at to it and kind of questioned why we have to have a part 3. Mainly, well, not mainly, but one of the reasons why was, I think most of us would agree that part 2 was disastrous. I think, it's a shame because Deep Blue Sea, the first one, is probably one of the better shark movies outside of anything with Jaws in the title. I certainly liked it. I think a lot of people liked it. That was a fun movie, good action, and the sharks weren't bad in it. Kind of not totally shocked that there would have been a sequel, but it was obviously a much lesser budget, and that kind of killed it. And it really, it's not a review of part 2, and I'm glad I didn't even bother. So because of that, I was kind of shocked that they would do a part 3. But here it is, and I will apologize because, part 3 ended up actually a lot better than part 2. Not to say that this is a masterpiece of a movie or anywhere close to the original movie, but this is definitely a better movie. And I think one of the reasons this is a better movie is simply because the sharks are there, and obviously it's centered around water, and the story involves them. But in much of the way, it is a action movie, I guess to say, and it kind of holds that up. Kind of goes with that, and you see, I think maybe they approached it as an action movie first and then incorporate everything else after. I think that kind of worked for it. There's nothing hugely special or any huge secrets here. I think as you're watching this movie, you can kind of tell what's happening, who are the good guys going to be, who are the bad guys going to be here, and so forth. But it's definitely better put together. The actors do a pretty good job, and as far as the story here, we basically have a community who is again, we're at this theme where, basically have this isolated, small island-like thing out in the middle of nowhere. And I guess at one point, a lot of people lived on this, island-like thing here. I don't even know what you want to call it. Out in the middle of nowhere, and it seemed to thrive or whatever, but I guess recently it's gone through some changes and most people have left it, and basically you have a few people still left there. A couple of them are scientists, and then a couple of them are just there that have lived there and are just waiting for their time to get off. And they're early on, they're down, and they're kind of scuba diving there and seeing, doing their research thing, seeing what's going on there. And I think an interesting thing is you see a great white come, and thinking, oh, the terror here is going to attack, but it doesn't. I guess they've kind of befriended it in a weird sort of way. Not something I would react to. I would have had a heart attack and died on the spot. But that kind of gives you a clue of maybe things have changed with the water here or the circumstances here and what's going on. And lo and behold, 3 bull sharks, I guess, are coming to this area. And if you've watched any of the other movies, everything's revolved around these 3 bull sharks that have gotten loose from the first movie. And they're obviously a lot smarter and better than anybody else or any other creature in the water here. And they're headed towards this island, and I guess there's some bad people that are coming after it. And lo and behold, of coincidences here, the main scientist girl here, Emma, actually had a relationship with the guy who's chasing these sharks, which I believe was Richard. And that kind of plays a subplot there, and them kind of reuniting and being friends, not friends, and the back and forth that goes along with those kind of relationships. And should she trust them? Should she not? Her friend Eugene there, who's kind of the muscle on the island, doesn't like him and is kind of telling her, look, maybe we shouldn't engage in what these people are doing. We should send them on their way. But they insist on staying there and trying to catch these sharks. So again, it becomes a sort of action movie in the way there's, because you kind of probably guess how this is going to be. I'm trying to be spoiler free, but not being too serious about it, because I think as you turn this on and as you watch, you'll see, that this is a very similar plot to any kind of action movie / horror movie, if you want to include a horror movie in there. You just kind of see where it's going. There's no huge secret here. So yeah, you're going to see, maybe everything that they said and the reasons why they want the sharks are not so true. There's a back and forth. Is the island going to survive here? How are they going to get off in time? People start dying either because the people are fighting each other or because the sharks are there. There are some similarities to the original movie, because you have that big lagoon out front there, and obviously a time or two somebody has to dive in to do A, B, or C, and the dramaticsness of, oh, here comes the shark, and then the people that are standing around, what are they going to do to help this person in the water? I guess again, while I say it was better than part 2 and it's a good movie, I think it's the one thing you're looking for with a shark movie is obviously the shark. You want to see it kill people. You want to see good deaths. You want to see the blood and guts and all that. And I think that for a large portion of this movie, again, the sharks are around, but they're not, doing those kind of things. You're just getting a lot of human interaction here, a lot of talk about them and what they're doing and the back and forth. And there are some, a dramatic scene where they're trying to catch one of the sharks. But again, it's not so shark-centered. It is more centered around the people. And, I guess, you can make that argument, like how much screen time did Jaws really have and so forth. But, Jaws is Jaws and this is different. And I think, one of the things you want to see these creatures in action. I mean, they're enhanced for a reason, and they're smarter for a reason, and then you think they have the advantage, so you want to see them go at it. But there's just a lot of human interaction and so forth to carry the movie, and it isn't really until the final act that you get to see the sharks more involved. And then it kind of becomes, again, a lot of the similar stuff. People trapped in a small area, and here comes the shark, and it's kind of squeezing its way in here. Again, the lagoon, and someone's in the lagoon, and here it comes. So there's just not a lot of different things they're doing with the sharks, a lot of similar things they're doing with the sharks, which is a little disappointing. And I guess there's one point where I don't know, trying to be spoiler free, but I guess I'll just say, one person kind of gets trapped in an even pretty tight space, and it gets a pretty close call. But I again, because of who that person is, you're probably safe to say they're gonna make it out okay. But I guess that is one of the small instances of a difference there, with the shark and so forth. But I guess that overall there's not that big of a difference. So again, you had a movie where it's set out here in the middle of nowhere on this small little thing that's somehow floating. It's not as much. I think the first one was they had that above, but they were trapped below and they had to get up. This one is all mostly on the surface. But again, it is you're stuck out in the middle of nowhere, and you have the three same sharks and so forth. Maybe a surprise or two, but nothing major here. So I guess the sum of all this is that Deep Blue Sea Part 3 is better than Part 2, but not better than Part 1. So you gotta follow along there. I think it's very clear that Part 1 was a really good movie, and the sequels have failed in to follow and meet up to that standard, which happens a lot. There's not too many sequels that especially when you start getting out to 3 and 4, that you're ever going to say is better than the original. But I think it at least proved to be better than Part 2. And again, I apologize for making fun of this movie. I try not to do that, but it's not really making fun of it, but just doubting the reasons for why they did this movie. I guess you can still question why they did this movie. But anyway, I think that about wraps that up. So I'm gonna give this one two pools of blood out of 5. I'll make sure that I continue to say that, so that you know where it stands. And if I give this one 2, I guess you can guess what I give Part 2. We'll just leave it at that, because I don't believe I reviewed that. I'm going to hope that I did not. Anyway, speaking of that, you can find more reviews, not Part 2, at horoscorereviews.blogspot.com. Written and video reviews are all there, going years back, so there's plenty to sort through there. You can find my Twitter and Facebook information down below as well. Reach out to me. We can talk horror, talk about this movie, other movies. If you have something you want me to review, you can find me there as well. We can talk about that. If it's horror, I definitely am interested. And let's see, what else? Subscribe to the channel, please, if you like the videos. Even if you don't like the videos and you just want to know what I want to rate something, subscribe, fast forward, get to the end and see what I rate. It is what it is, and I know people only have so much time these days with their social media and videos and so forth. And you can also comment on this video. If you want to leave a comment to reach me as well, you can do it in the comment section, and I will hopefully catch it. So with that, I will continue to stay out of the water and not swim with sharks, not advisable, and I will catch you on the next review, horror fans.